Good morning. Welcome to Friday morning. Welcome to Mornings with Megs. I'm so excited. We made it. It's Friday. It's Friday. I've got some fun things to talk about today, and even better news that it is the last morning of just me. We have some epic guests coming up for next week. I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. We are going to be my whole, vision for this show, once we kind of nutted it all out with production, was to really be something that is inspiring, that is uplifting, and something that you can listen to in the morning, take with you, feel super vibey once you've listened, and then come about or go about your day just feeling good and feeling motivated and feeling inspired. That is how I leave each of these recording sessions. So I hope that's how you leave it as well. All right, let's talk about some stuff. All right, this morning on the show we have okay, I've got really creative with these names, just FYI. The Run Club is the new pub. Wild. Okay, Connection as the new night out. Right. I love it. You're terrible at celebrating the savoring science. And I feel like this is just true of a lot of people. And I am guilty of this myself. I don't celebrate anywhere near enough as I should. So we're going to do that. Posting your wins isn't bragging. Okay, visibility through celebration. Similar along the lines of what we're talking about, but as you can tell, it's a celebration show. Like we're making sure that we're recognizing our wins today. And throw yourself a half year party, right? We talk about new year, new me, right? Every single, New Year's resolution and the whole thing. However, I feel like we're forever reinventing ourselves. So why not have like a fiscal new year, new me? That is certainly what I am doing. So yeah, especially I think there's actually a full moon coming up. I want to say it's tomorrow or Sunday, one of the two. I'll let you know. So yeah, when the full moon comes along, like the new moon, we do some rituals, we do some celebrations, and we do a bunch of releasing because we don't want to take the old shitty energy with us into the next version or the next month or the next financial year. So I am all for championing, yeah, New Year's resolutions, but make it financial New Year resolutions because I really like the word fiscal. I don't know why. It just makes me sound really smart when I used to say it. And fun fact, I used to work in an accounting firm, and I thought that fiscal year was like January to December, and I don't know why. Because obviously fiscal, like financial, but and I was like, well, you're calling it financial year. Like, why do we have another word for financial year? So yeah, that's embarrassing but hilarious, outing myself as per usual. I have got some music for you as well this morning. We are sticking with Liam and the theme of DJing, and I'm actually super excited. One of my girlfriends, she's actually DJing at a nightclub. It's called, I can't remember what it's called. It's good, isn't it? But it's in Brisbane, and it's like a DJing competition. So there's like a bunch of hopeful DJs that will be there. So that's really fun. So I'm really excited for her, and I'm actually going to be up there then. So I cannot wait to, I can't wait to celebrate with her, and I can't wait to, this is wild. It's funny because like this is just so trending what I'm talking about now, on trend with what I'm talking about right now. When I was a late teens, early 20s, you should say, and I always was out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And I always knew people on the door. I always knew the DJs. I was like the one you spoke to if you wanted to go on a night out. And I just like that made me feel really cool in my early years. Like I was like, yes, I've made it. It's just cute. But yeah, now I am going out tonight for my goddaughter's birthday. And my other niece's birthday actually as well. So I'm like leave the house. Like dinner at 6:30. What do you mean? 4:30 dinner gal over here. So we're going to be talking about all the things. So let's jump into a song and then we can jump into Summit. We love it. Okay, let's talk about the Run Club is the new pub. So, now, for the record, I don't enjoy running. There is zero part of me that enjoys running, but I can get behind a wellness theme. So and we used to bond over a beer at a pub. Now Australians are bonding over a 6 a.m. run club, a cold plunge, and a bathhouse. And I feel like it is considerably better for our social lives, definitely for our mental health. And it's actually the weirdest, well, not the weirdest is not but it's like the craziest trend that I've seen switch, because if I look at the younger people in my life and kind of what they were doing with their lives 12 months ago, it was the party scene, it was doing all the things, but then somehow they still managed to like get up and go for a run at 6 a.m. like wild. So it's really fun to see now. I see their Instagram stories and they're like 12K in the bay. I'm like, how? How? They seem to literally just be able to like strap on a pair of sand shoes and then like just run 12Ks. It's just wild to me. Anyway, I love that for them. So social wellness is being called one of the biggest emerging trends of 2026. Run clubs, bathhouses, social group cold plunges, and morning movement sessions are becoming genuine community rituals, not just workouts. So if you think back to like the days of skinny era where you like had to cardio yourself into oblivion and do all the things, and then we kind of like went the opposite way where we were like, you know what, strap on a pair of headphones and lift as heavy as you possibly can. It still wasn't as overly social movement, right? Like it was still more of a sort of solo effort. So now we're seeing more of the groups going to gyms, and instead of just like two people, it's like, actual groups going. So it's really fun, actually. And what I love about it is it's actually being driven by the loneliness conversation. So isolation is now treated as a serious health risk, with researchers comparing its impact on longevity to smoking or obesity, right? Like being lonely can make you as unhealthy as somebody who smokes or is like overweight. It's wild. So around 1 in 6 Australians report often feeling lonely. Now, I think if you look at the stats, I think it was probably more than that, and it potentially still could be more than that. I think we're still mindful that some people don't want to appear to be lonely, and they don't want to seem to be like, lonely, because we've got big tough people in the world. And I think regardless of whether, so actually no, let me rewind a little bit, because I think this is going to be that some people may actually relate to this. So when I was obviously not super well, I was not drinking, I was not going out, I had no interest in any of that, but that sort of, and I guess because I did it at such a young age, like I was going out from when I was 16. So by the time I got to sort of the point where everybody else was doing it, I was like over it. I was just like, I've done this. And so I think that if you weren't doing that, it was really hard to relate to some people, because it was sort of like we worked to go out and get smashed on the weekend, and therefore it's sort of like, what else if you weren't going out and doing that, like, and you were the one staying home on a Saturday night, right? This was me. Okay, I'd love to know if anyone can relate to this. So Saturday at like 7:30 at night, you start seeing people's Instagram stories or Snapchat stories about going for pre-drinks somewhere, and you didn't want to go, okay, but you've got FOMO about not being there. So, and then you see things that you weren't invited to, and you're like, well, right, it's just this social like outcast feeling. And maybe it was just me, but I didn't want to go out, but I didn't want to not be invited. And I didn't like seeing when people were going out, because I was probably jealous that they were able to go out, or jealous that they were going out, but it's not what I actually wanted. So I think it fueled this like unnecessarily amount of sadness and loneliness for me for like no real reason, I guess. So the shift is away from nights at the bar and moving more toward movement and connection. So daylight endorphins and standing crew instead of a hangover. So based here in Adelaide, in the Gold Coast is very different, because everybody is always at nightclubs, and well, yes, all of the tourists are, but everyone seems to be walking on the beach at 6 a.m. for sunrise, which is just the best thing in the world. If you know, you know. So I love that the shift we're seeing, and even in Adelaide, right? So it's freaking freezing here. If you haven't heard me complain about that every day this week. So I love that it's, on a Saturday and Sunday morning that we are going to see people and groups running along the beach together who would typically have been hungover in bed because they went out together the night before. So it rides the bigger Aussie pivot away from the hustle and optimize towards sustainable science-backed habits, strength training, cold therapy, and longevity that fits real life. So as somebody who loves activewear, I'm so for this. However, I'm not a big runner, so I still look at that and I think like that sounds horrible. Nor am I a cold plunger, to be honest. That also sounds terrible. But I can get behind us all being healthier and us all feeling less lonely and us all having the ability to feel connected to people in some way. So there are like these, I forget what they're called, but they start at 3 o'clock and like finish at 10 o'clock, and they're like specific like nightclub disco things for people like my age. I have to like think of the name, and I don't even think they even serve alcohol. I think it was like a coffee thing. Anyway, so I love that we're optimizing more to just kind of different habits for connecting besides getting smashed of a weekend. So again, I'm not shitting on that because I do love me a good night out. I can feel that there is one coming up in me. Like I just want to go out, be stupid, dance the night away, and like hate myself for it the next morning. Okay, but I want to do it once and then I won't leave the house again for another 6 months. So what I love about it as well, because obviously same with like building this show and wanting to have a morning segment, is because it's like something that happens to your brain early on and it just kind of like sets the tone for the rest of the day. So if you're already, feeling that connection piece and you're already feeling a type of like positive way, before 8 a.m., you're really setting yourself up for a good day. And it's just, I guess the run club is like one version of it. And it's not because like running is magic, although people like runners will tell you it is, but it's because you showed up for people and they showed up for you. Okay. So you're wanting to contribute to healthier habits when previously you might not have been able to have people come with you, like you had to do it yourself. And it's not like, going and having a $40 bathhouse membership and, the designer gyms and shit that are out there at the moment, but it's just like a standing like ritual and a reason to leave the house to connect with people that you have a common interest with and who you feel like get you as a person. So I guess, loneliness doesn't get fixed by scrolling content about connection. Okay, we all know we need to connect, but yeah, if you're feeling a little bit isolated and maybe you're like, I don't know how to connect with people that like things similar to me, I recommend either like finding a Facebook group or finding something like that you can find someone to connect to. I know that there's like, and I think I've mentioned this before, like particular like girls in Adelaide groups, I want to say that, yeah, they've like, it's literally, they've got particular, catch ups and things. And like, even in the marketing groups that I'm a part of, there's always these things. So, if you want to connect, there are ways. You kind of just have to have the courage to reach out and do all of that sort of thing, which is always uncomfortable, but I think and hope that you will thank yourself for it later. All right, we're going to move into some celebrations next. We're going to take a quick little break here and then let's talk about some celebrations, shall we? So research shows, and this is really harsh, I feel, but look, it's probably correct. I would love to know how many of us are actually good at celebrating, okay? I feel like in the moment it's like all exciting, but I feel like a lot of what I see is like immediately turns to fear. So it's like, but what if it all goes away? And like, all of these things. And there will always, because of the negative bias that is our beautiful brains, okay, I find that it is really typical to immediately be like not as excited about it, or not as like celebrating as hard as you want to, because either you're worried about upsetting someone else because they don't like, it's these I could literally go on, which actually probably says more about my brain than anything else, maybe. Okay, so psychologists call the skill of stretching out a good moment savoring, fully attending to, appreciating and prolonging positive experience instead of letting them blur in the past. Okay, so it's actually a skill for us to be happier for longer. Okay, isn't that wild? So the opposite has a name too. The 2026 research highlights dampening, okay, the habit of cutting your own positive feelings short. So don't get too ahead of yourself. It's not that big a deal. Okay, who can relate to that? I'm sure many of us can. Studies including daily diary research find that deliberately savoring good moments increases happiness, life satisfaction, and overall well-being. Okay, obviously, it's a no-brainer. And it's social sharing and savoring positive moments with other people amplifies the good feeling rather than diluting it. Okay, celebrating out loud literally works better. So, like I said, I'm guilty of this myself. I have either not celebrated things as much as I wanted to because I was like, well, no one really cares. And I was also one to not celebrate because I was like, well, what if like something happens and it all goes away and all these things, okay? Negative mind. But I feel like I'm better. I feel like I'm getting better. So something brilliant happens, okay, and your brain's literally like, I want to celebrate this, I want to talk about this, but don't get too cocky because you're going to piss people off, or like, it's just, we think that staying humble keeps us safe. And I think we like safe from feedback and safe from, I guess, comments that we don't otherwise want to hear. I'm trying to like liken this again to, like I was saying earlier in the week, with our super primitive brains, right? It perceives threats like that as literally life threatening, like as something that is literally going to end your life. Like it is just wild. So you're allowed to sit in a win for more than 4 seconds, okay? And that's why I wanted to do, and obviously I can't say it properly, but F yeah Friday, because I just feel like we're not celebrating ourselves as much as we should, and we're not celebrating even the small wins to just give us a little bit of a boost throughout the day, right? So it's really easy for us to become complacent in being like, oh, it's just another day, it's just this, it's just that, right? But the beauty of being able to celebrate properly is the serotonin boosts and the dopamine boosts and all of the things that you get from those from that celebration actually does positive things to your brain. Okay, so I want you to catch the but, right? As soon as you start to think of something good or something good happened, when the second your brain was to go, oh yeah, but, right? We're going to stop that in its tracks. We're not going to let it, because that is literally like the reason, okay, that you're doing that is because of fear. Okay, fear of being seen, fear of being different, fear of whatever. And that fear literally stems from back in the day when we were the primitive little beings that would be outcast from a tribe by being different, and therefore like you probably weren't going to survive. Okay, a little bit different these days. You're allowed to be an outcast and it won't kill you. So slow the moment down, feel it in your body, and let it actually land. Okay, it's not ego at all. It is literally just you celebrating and being able to relish in what you've created, and things that you've worked hard for and things that you've wanted to accomplish in your life that you finally got to that stage where you have. Okay, you're allowed to celebrate those things, right? So I want you to have a bit of a think of like, what is your phrase that you go to when you talk yourself out of sort of celebrating or reaching milestones or talking about a win or something like that. I would love for you to have a bit of a think about what that is. And also, if you've recently had a win or you're celebrating something, actually give yourself the permission to celebrate it now. Like I would love, like even if it was like 6 months ago, who cares? Like borrow some success from 6 months ago, who cares? And just let yourself fully savor it for 60 seconds, like at least. Like how good does that actually feel? Okay, because even with the show, I was just like, I can't, like if I talk about this and like then what if I get dropped, and like it literally immediately I was like, oh my god, shut up, don't be so negative. But again, it's the negative bias that our brain likes to go to, because it just, again, it's just trying to keep us safe. So yeah, savor the moment, savor the happiness, and really bring those moments into your life now and watch it boost everything, your self-esteem, boost your happiness levels, boost all of the things. And that's what we need to make sure we do. Okay, go celebrate. Now, when I come back, we'll be talking about posting your wins and not bragging, and then also throwing yourself a half year party, okay, which I'm going to do for myself because first half of this year, holy moly. All right, so we'll take a bit of a break and then I shall be back. Okay, welcome back. Let's talk about celebrating some more, posting some wins and doing all the things. Very, very important. Okay, so similar to what I was talking about just before, let's talk about actually the act of posting your wins. Okay, so there's one obviously type of way you can celebrate what you're up to. Okay, so you can go and tell people, you can go and you can then go and celebrate for yourself. But I guess the problem with sometimes wanting to validate yourself, I think it is really wanting that validation from other people, I think is really, really important to not try and let that be the reason that you're posting, right? So it's the always like anything that we do, it's always the intention behind it. Okay. So it is always the like, I'm sharing this not for ego, and I'm literally sharing this because I just, I want to, because I'm super proud of myself and I'm super excited for myself. And it's actually obviously a very different frequency, because then you're not worried about what other people are thinking and saying about you. You're actually more concerned about, you know what, I have worked so hard for this. Like, I am just going to celebrate this and I just don't care. So when you are a people pleaser, okay, like I tend to still sometimes, again, do this, is that it's really easy for us to not want to upset other people. And I have a really good example of this that I can't use right now. It's like a major example, like it's major news that's going to come out soon. And this is an exact example of this, because it's like you want to be so stoked for someone, but then you're so sad for yourself because maybe you missed out on an opportunity, right? And then if you're that person that got the opportunity, the celebration is quite minimal because you're like, well, I don't want to upset anybody, like, whatever. So when you're doing this on like a public level as well, like it's even worse. So being able to learn how to do this in a smaller setting, I think, is something that it's really good to get used to doing. Because then, the more you win and the more you kind of do all these things, the more you open yourself up to people that can potentially be a little bit overcritical. But we always know from jealousy, like if people aren't happy for you and things that you're doing in your life, then, are they really the people you want to have in your life? I don't think so. Anyway, let's talk about some stats. So researchers found that employees who posted publicly about their successes were around 59% more likely to report a positive mood. Okay, visibility and well-being are linked. Now, as someone who was trying to climb the corporate ladder in my previous life, I know for a fact that you actually want to shrink yourself as little as possible sometimes when it comes to sharing and celebrating what you're doing, because you want to stay off the radar and you want to kind of just like do all the things without attracting attention to yourself and without attracting people that are potentially going to try and sabotage you. Like that's how like savage I find the corporate world. And I actually I found the corporate world. Okay. And I too was somebody who probably didn't celebrate people's successes as much as I should have, because I was jealous or because I was whatever. So if you're in a corporate job right now and you're like trying to make your way up the ladder and you're doing all the things, okay, just remember it's always the intent of which we do these things. So you deserve to celebrate yourself and you deserve to, to be able to share these wins and all of the things. Like if you look at LinkedIn, for example, like LinkedIn is the quintessential place of the corporate. Let's say brag is not the right word. What word am I looking for? The corporate, let's call it celebration. Okay. If you are on, and okay, do you know what? I'm actually going to blame LinkedIn for this, because I feel like you can connect with an abundance of people on LinkedIn that you wouldn't normally connect with in your daily life, right? It's really similar to obviously social, like Facebook and Instagram, whatnot, but it's just I feel like you're a little bit more visible and it's a different kind of intent. Again, you're very rarely sharing your work wins on your private or like your personal social media from like a Facebook or Instagram perspective, but you are like, obviously the platform to do it is on LinkedIn. So I would love to know if anybody has felt this way, because I know I have, that when I've done job updates, for example, on there, and because of the way that LinkedIn settings is, like it pushes it all out. Like I receive job updates about people that I don't even know, and I'm like, cool, like, and I feel really happy for those people. I'm like, love that for you. Okay, so maybe LinkedIn is onto something, but I just find that again, it's less about wanting our friends and potentially family validation and more about attracting or showcasing your skill set off to, maybe a potential employer or, someone in your LinkedIn feed. Okay. So again, it's always about the intention in which you do things. And if you are listening to this, I know that you're a good person and that you're not posting to upset somebody else. You're just literally wanting to celebrate your wins. So go and celebrate the shit out of it. So now, similar to what I was saying before, savoring studies show sharing positive experience with others amplifies the positive emotion instead of cheapening it. Okay. again, make sure you've got good people in your life that are happy for your success and all of the things. Tracking and naming progress out loud. So like it's the same mechanism as sort of like the sharing the small wins sort of research, but it is what sustains motivation over the long haul. And again, depending on the type of person you are, is the type of way you're going to perceive somebody else's success. So I like to now look at, it's probably like entrepreneurs in my space, I suppose, that I'm just like obsessed with. I'm like, love that for you, get it, queen. And instead of looking at it like, oh, why don't I have that, or like she's got that, and having all of these kind of like not great feelings and vibes around the whole thing, instead I am like, if she can do that, then I can do that too. And she is proof that I can then go ahead and I can, so this is the lens in which I would love for everybody to see things, because the more we see people as expanders in our life, the less we're going to be jealous and we're going to criticize. And, there's room for everybody at the top, right? Like, I feel like the corporate ladder climber, and maybe it's just because I'm out of it, I don't know, I feel like that is less these days. I feel like, the goal used to be to quit your job and make 10K months in your business and all that other crap that we went through. But now then we went from a swing after that, from like, go back to a job because you don't have to pay yourself super and it's easy and you just get monthly paychecks, to sort of like something in the middle where it's like, you know what, just do whatever the hell you want. Make sure you're working on your brain and your mind so that you're the most successful version of yourself when you get there. But just stop looking at what people are doing online and thinking like, she's the epitome of success. Like, I just feel like we define our own success. So I feel like this catch is like, it's more of a culture. It's like not as scientific. So like, I guess many of us were taught as kids that visible pride equals arrogance. So we dampen those around us and we stay quiet and we sort of just lose the benefit. And I feel like it wasn't, I don't know if it was like external peer pressure or the reason that we're like this, or I don't know. I'm trying to think back to when I was in school, and I guess you got paid out for like doing well in school when you got good grades. And maybe that's why, I don't know, I got great grades until I was like year 10 and found a social life, and then it all went downhill from there. But yeah, and I guess because it was the cooler thing to hang out with friends, and I don't know. I think I just hated studying altogether. I don't think I can blame anybody but myself for my year 10 downfall. But yeah, I feel like I don't know if it's an Australian thing or like what it is, but like tall poppy syndrome like is just rife, I feel like. And I don't understand how somebody else's success equals anything about you. And I'm trying to think back to when I was younger and I would see other people being successful, and I guess there would be maybe a hint of jealousy there, but more so, I always found it so inspiring. And I was like, I want to be like that person because, I want that success and I want to see that. And yeah, I feel like I'm really mindful about the language I use right now, the celebrity influencer space, those people I found inspiring. But yeah, I guess people around me who were more closely doing the things I wanted to, I probably found less inspiring and more sort of like, well, they're doing things that I'm not. And I guess I learned as somebody who would quite often go into a new role and, get promoted quite quickly. See, I'm already trying to humble myself because I don't want to like brag. God, it's like a really deep ingrained kind of vibe. So, all right, let's just go and say it. So basically any job that I've had, I've kind of worked my way up quite quickly. And to be perfectly honest, I don't actually think it's because of my skill set or because of my intellect. Like I can guarantee you that 99% of those wouldn't have been because I'm that smart. I think I'm just a good people person. I think that and I've been not regularly, well, actually, no, more so these days, regularly called a personality hire. And in my early days, if you had have called me that, I would have been friggin' devastated. I would have been like, no, I'm so smart. Like, no, let me prove myself to you, right? If this is ringing true, I would love to know, because whereas now I'm like, yeah, people do pay me just to be me. Like, how cool is that? Like, I'm such a vibe to be around that I don't really contribute anything else to the business except for bringing my vibes. Okay. And I'm wrapping up with a long-term client of mine, which I'm really sad about. They've been so awesome, but I totally understand the shift. they're shifting operations to a different state and I'm not willing to move to said state. So it is what it is. I'm really sad, but that was the whole thing, there. And I need to be mindful about what I say, but they're full of engineers and really, really intelligent people that may not have the best social skills or even enjoy socializing. But I think I'm just that much of a pest that I'm like, no, you are going to be my best friend and you are going to want me around, even though right now I'm annoying the hell out of you. And I think it's just my persistent nature where I'm like, I refuse to not be loved. I refuse for you not to find me hilarious. And I've literally broken every single one of them. And now it's so much fun to go in there because it's people that literally used to like turn their back at you walking towards them because they're like, oh God, this chick's going to talk to me now. And then, whereas now it's like more noticed when I'm not in there. So, I think it's really fun to be that type of person because again, like and maybe I did it because it was a more of a comfortable place for me because I didn't have to show off anything intellectual and I didn't have to kind of do anything. I could sort of just be myself and away I went. And for somebody who, again, I guess in my career, I've had like more male dominated industries. Like I was in mining, in tech, and especially in mining, I found that even though they were trying to be like play the diversity card and like hire females and they were the best people in the whole wide world, I love and I'm still in contact with them, I still love them, but it was really the males on the other side of the desk that didn't really like me. So I guess in that instance as well, I really trained myself to fit into that mold of person that they wanted to actually just tolerate. And instead of shutting down all of my ideas, I had to find a way to have a voice and not be looked at like the silly little blonde girl in the corner putting her ideas forward, because that literally was said to me once and it was just the worst day ever. So I totally understand and I totally can relate. The more that I think about it, I thought I was over it. And the more I've just been unpacking this morning, the more that I see that I'm actually not and that I still have work to do here. But yeah, I think my main message that I would love for people to take out of this is find people that expand you and are doing things that you want to do and use them as proof that you can do that too. Okay. Because if they're doing it, you can do it, like guaranteed. And then second to that, I would love for you to go back and have a bit of a think about where in previous like either roles or in even just in life in general, where you've dulled something to try and fit in or to not upset somebody or to whatever for that reason, but you want to celebrate, and just go back and celebrate it now because I feel like it's really, really important. So as somebody who literally like my whole job is like celebrate people's wins and to amplify said wins, I just feel like I personally just get so excited about it, regardless of whether we get picked up in the media about it. Okay. So and again, it's all about the intention. Okay. So it's less about like, look how great I am and everybody bow down to me. But it is just more about like, I'm really excited for myself. So I'm just going to like post it and hope that people take what they want from it. Because dulling ourselves to fit in or to not upset other people, I hope is like a absolute figment of the past and that we're not going to be doing that anymore because it doesn't help anybody. We're not going to grow as people. We're not going to be like able to, shine and to do new things and to have people that inspire us to do so as well if we keep shitting on everybody that is doing things differently. So if you see somebody that's doing well, do you know what? Actually just tell them and then make sure that they're celebrating themselves. And if you're doing some cool stuff, regardless of whether you're doing cool stuff, if you got out of bed today, like go and celebrate yourself because truly there are some people that would give anything to do that. And given the morning that I have had this morning, I am going to pat myself on the back for getting out of bed and showing up because I hope this has been a really amazing episode and I'm still trying to throw out all the vibes because underneath this, like I am slowly dying. Like either Crohn's is Crohning or endo is endoing. I really don't know. But yeah, we're not having the best day this morning, but we're still here and we're still smiling and we're still showing up. Hopefully providing value. That's the most important part of this whole thing. Whilst again, I hear my cat destroying shit in the background. So, apologies for the crash and banging. Okay. Last thing we're talking about this morning is we love a New Year's resolution. Okay. We love the feeling of a fresh start. We love the feeling of saying this time it's going to be different. Okay, I am unbelievably guilty of this. Like diet starts Monday. Like next payday, I'm going to start, you know what I mean? Like if you're like that person, like me, let's reset and let's us do a fiscal new year, new me kind of vibe, as opposed to, doing things that we always do and say we're going to do things and not do them, okay? Because our brain doesn't trust us when we do that. So late June is obviously like literally the mid of the calendar year. So we do things like do our tax return here. And this is the other awesome thing about having a job is you get more often than not a tax return instead of a tax bill like I do. Side note, one for the employed corporate queens out there. Okay, you're doing great. Okay, so instead of being, we're just on the downhill run to the end of the year, like think about how quick the first 6 months went of the year. Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm like, how the hell is it already the end of June? Like, it's wild to me. So I don't want to just get to, November and be like, we're on the downhill run into the new year. And then next year, 2027 is my year. Okay, I kind of want to do it earlier. So I'm going to do a big reset. And I think what I'm going to do is actually reflect a lot on this, like, past 6 months. And again, obviously because of my surgery and stuff like that, like it's a little bit different from my perspective because obviously I don't intend on doing that again ever. But I could, and I guess I have gotten used to being like that as an excuse. So like, well, my surgery's coming up, so there's no point studying that now. Or like, I've got to recover from that. So like that, you know what I mean? Whereas now, even though this morning's been a bit icky, from moving on forward, this should be my quote unquote normal life now. Like I shouldn't really have these issues. So I'm excited to actually reset my goalposts. And again, because like things come up in the middle of the year, right? Like I'm sure that what you set for yourself at the start of the year, if you've achieved it, like amazing, great work. Okay. But how can you then, go next level on that or start some new goals? And also, if you've kind of like gotten to this midpoint and you're like, I actually don't align with those goals that I set in like at the start of the new year, now's a great time to like shift and pivot and redo. So I really encourage you because again, like we're not fixed in what we do in this life. It's always changeable. So if you're like, you know what, it's not quite the vibe, I'm going to, go and try something else or we're going to, do something new. And I really want you to, again, take this chance to celebrate on things that you have done. Also, celebrate the stuff that you didn't do because it didn't align with you anymore, right? If you put like it out into the universe and you're like, or into like social media feed and you're like, I'm going to do this and it's going to be epic and whatever. And then you get like partway through and you're like, I actually hate this. Like, I actually don't want to do this. This is not aligned with me right now. Okay. Pat yourself on the back for trying. And don't listen to anybody that says, well, what happened with this and why aren't you doing this anymore? Okay. Because we evolve quickly as people that move quickly. Okay. So don't worry about that. So it's really the progress principle we're talking about here, which says reviewing and celebrating progress, not just outcome, is what actually protects motivation. Okay. So this is another good time if you did set goals at the start of the year and you are still aligned with them and they still are something you want to do, you really should be now celebrating how far you've come and not waiting until the end to celebrate, because that's something else we really do a lot of. And it's really helpful for us to actually celebrate along the way, because if you can celebrate yourself along the way, you're a lot more likely to continue to go. And a lot of people do just never start, and a lot of people do just give up like a day after they start. So like how cool that you have taken your goals as seriously as you have and you have committed yourself to a change in your life and you've stuck to it. Okay. And again, if it's still aligned with you, then that's amazing. If it's not, again, it's really courageous to be like, you know what, that actually doesn't serve me anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I feel like people that start businesses in particular are really good at continuing down a path that maybe they're not as in love with anymore. And so if you are listening to this and you're like, I hear you, okay, take this as your permission slip to change, to move, to whatever. And I'm not saying that when it gets hard, just give up because it's, so whatever. In yourself whether you're aligned for that thing anymore or not. Like you truly do know that, you know what, I'm just having a shit week and I'm not going to, make the progress I want this week and that's okay. Or this is like my 10th shit week and I need to make a change. or this is no longer aligned with me anymore. Okay, maybe it's time I close that chapter of my life. Okay, and all are perfect. So behavior change studies on tracking suggest people who people who pause to acknowledge progress are markedly more likely to keep going than those who only stare at what's left. That is literally the definition of like only focus on the next step while you're building things. Because again, when you set massive, big, chunky goals and you don't chunk them down into smaller steps, one, the goal seems unbelievably unattainable. But two, again, things come up that you couldn't have predicted, on your way to that end goal. And I don't mean to talk about business here. I'm like talking about life in general, right? It can literally be a health goal. It can be a new house you want. It can be a business you're starting. It can be a personal project you want to do. Like all of these things, right? If you think about from like where I am right now to like 12 months down the track, we have no idea what the hell is going to come up in life. Okay. We have no idea the challenges that are going to face. Okay. We have no idea the other opportunities because we put ourselves in those situations. Okay, in different situations to meet different people, to, be surrounded by other opportunities that might be actually more aligned for us than the original one. But we had to go for the original one because otherwise we never would have been put in the room with the person with the, you know what I mean? So this is what I love about like serendipitous events and the wacky world of, this life, because it's just so much fun to think. And if you can go in with an open mind like this, I found for me in particular, this has actually been quite a game changer. So if you go into any situation, okay, with the mindset or the intent that this is what I want to do, I'm all in on this, okay, like universe, show me the path, like I'm gonna follow this, okay, but then watch what comes up at the same time. Like watch what comes flying into your sphere when you start to choose yourself, when you start to go down the track of wanting more for your life. Okay, it's literally just like that thing that either your higher self or whatever you believe in is waiting for, and then it's just like, finally, all right, she's ready, let's throw all the shit at her. Okay, and see what she wants to do in this world. Because you are going to make a decision, and then you're going to have other opportunities come up that you're going to be able to be like, no, that's not for me, I'm going to stay on this course. No, actually, you know what, this is for me, I'm going to go down this path. And it purely is just your own intuition that makes these decisions. And it's going to feel like a risk. It's going to feel like you've got no idea what the hell the outcome is. But I feel like that's kind of the point, because if you knew the start and the end, it wouldn't be very fun, especially if you could have gone 72 different ways on the way there, okay, and you went the less fun way. I just feel like this energy of like awe and wonder, like what awesome thing could happen if I try and do this, or what awesome thing can happen if I try and do that, and living in that space and that kind of mindset and that kind of vibe, I feel like, yeah, I found it to be a lot more potent, as opposed to being like, God, like I've just got to get this done today, I've got to get this done, and then that, where this is what's going to look like down the track. Okay, very different vibe, very different energy, and it really just allows the universe to throw some cool stuff at you, and for you to be ready and know that the reason that it's all coming your way is because you chose to do something different and to put yourself out there and to be an alignment for cool shit to come your way. So I would love for you to have a bit of a think about, what have you done this first half of the year versus if you did set goals, like if you did actually write down what you wanted to achieve. Where in your journey of those things are they still aligned for you? Do you maybe need to make a few changes? Or maybe you're like, no, I'm at a completely different stage of my life right now. It's absolutely not. Okay. And then set. And again, I'm only going to say like set until the end of the year, because again, shit changes all the time, but set until the end of the year. Okay. Some targets, some goals, some, whatever. Okay. Based off of the knowledge that you now have over the last 6 months. Because knowledge and experience is power, obviously. And so now you're not going into the next 6 months blind like you were maybe at the start of the year. Okay, you've got all these experiences under your belt. Okay, you've got all this knowledge. And so now you can just go absolutely ham into the end of the year. And who knows what you're going to achieve and what awesome things can come your way because of it. So I hope I've left you feeling super inspired and super excited and super open to all of the cool shit that can come your way when you ask the universe for it. Okay. And thank you so much for being here with me this morning. Apologies for the little glitches we've had here and there. So it's like in the edit, it's going to be the shortest episode ever. Okay. But yes, my intention for you from this episode is literally to like look back at the 6 months and be like, you know what? This is what I need to tighten up. This is what I need to let go. This is the path I want to forge down so that this last 6 months we can lock in and we're going to go absolutely nuts. And then by the end of this year, when we're sitting down together, reflecting on the previous 6 months, it will be like, you know what? Did that, let that go. Could have done better in that one. That was awesome. Okay. And literally do it from an observer's perspective. Be like, well, this is what it is. Let's do better next time, as opposed to being worried to celebrate what we're doing and then also obviously beating ourselves up for the things that we didn't do, because that's not the vibe here either. Okay. Have the most amazing weekend. Rest, rejuvenate, go and celebrate, do whatever it is you got going on. And I will see you guys on Monday with our first guest of the show. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Keep an eye on the socials. All right. Have the best weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday.